webinar series which is jointly organized by AA SRMPT and SRM College of Physiotherapy. And today's topic we are going to learn about injury prevention by using Pilates technique. And today's speaker is Mr. Peruru Rupesh, and he belongs to 2010 UG batch and 2015 PG batch, and he has done his masters in sports elective, and he is the founder of Peak Health Studio Chennai, and currently he is working with various sports clubs and leagues like Tamil Nadu Premium League, Cricket Association of Pondicherry. So may I request Mr. Rupesh to carry on with this presentation.
Thank you, Raja sir. So first I need to thank our AS SRMPT alumni, our Pavan sir, the founder, then the SRM College of Physiotherapy and SRM University for giving me this opportunity to present for you all. Thank you. So this is the college where I started my base. So from my seniors and college gave me a good setup. And I thank my senior Vairav Sudarshan sir for guiding and being my well-wisher throughout from 2010. Thank you, sir. So we'll go with the topic, injury prevention is latest. Sir, my audio is clear, sir. Fine, no, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can go ahead, sir.
Fine. So what is injury prevention? Injury prevention is not only for players or someone who is having some major physical activities alone. So injury can be prevented even for household workers or housewives, IT software company people, or anyone. So the main reason for selecting this topic is to create awareness on exercises. So we'll go with the introduction. So firstly, what is injury prevention? So a high intensity workout blending the body weight and resistance training with aerobic drills to improve overall speed, agility, balance, and endurance. That is, hello, so the workouts will be given in a high intensity form to make the muscles work throughout the activities, maybe from the period of where you are starting. For example, if you are starting today, the workout is going to give you the progression after 6 weeks of your program minimum. Fine. Here the injury prevention can be done with the athletic conditioning. So I speak about athletes first, then we'll go with household population. So athletic condition incorporates the creative exercise because athletes play various physical activities. They need various sport specific training. So that includes agility, endurance, plyometrics, etc. for their body to work on their sport activity. So that sport activity is their major level of their physical activity. That is, they need to achieve their major level of their physical fitness. So usually we give in the interval training, so that will be giving the better and major result for the players to get involved in their sport. So for example, how we can prevent the injury when the matches are in regular basis, in the sense they are in a tournament and you need to plan for an injury prevention. So there you need to plan for an recreational sport because there you cannot give an high intensity workout. So recreational sport will give or train them in that way where their mind will be relaxed. So when their mind is relaxed, they go and concentrate their game in easier format and stress-free format. So where the games can be like, if a cricketer can play a game like football, basketball, volleyball, or baseball, etc. on their own interest. So these are usually followed in cricket on field. So games you play with your teammates will be giving you mental stress relaxation. So that will give you further muscle activation when they go and play on the field. So for example, a batsman can be not thinking his game. So he can think of other activities and go and perform his game while he is playing. So usually the traditional athletic training methods will develop the muscles in required in a specific sport. For example, if we train in a traditional manner, their muscles can get their bulk. That is, the muscle build will be happening. So, but when you use Pilates, the muscle build may not be happening, but there will be much more other extra benefits manipulation of muscles around the joint. So often you will be training with isolated training. So only one muscle is targeted. So when you go to gym, you will have some weights and you do biceps or triceps, or you will be targeting one muscle and you will be working it out. But in Pilates exercise, it is more complex. You need to follow few principles that we'll be discussing in the further slides. So those principles will be giving you the major recruitment, that is large number of muscle group recruitments together in a single workout. So that will in return gives the strengthening for muscles in many angles, that is various planes of motions will be activating your muscle fibers. So in that way, a different range of motions ultimately will be giving you more benefit for your athlete. So if you think your athlete is getting benefited with his major physical activity, why can't a software professional who is ideally sitting in front of system and occasionally moves in and around will be more benefited with the Pilates form? So these exercises are like low intensity exercise, but the benefits are much more greater than your traditional training. So we need to learn the player's game. In the sense, we need to first analyze the player's game if he is a player. If he is in normal population, we need to analyze their household activities or his posture or work ergonomics. So you need to analyze those positions and you need to give him the exercise protocol or Pilates prescription protocol, and you need to take the player to the next level. For example, if it is a player, you are taking his game performance to the next level. If he is an IT professional, you are going to assess his ergonomics and you are going to make him work for longer duration without pains or aches in his body. So if it is housewives or someone at household activities, you are going to allow them to cook or wash their clothes in their daily activities with pain-free for longer duration. For example, if someone is getting pain with repetitive strain, for if they started doing and they are getting pain in 6 weeks, you can delay those progressions further. So prevention of injury is important for professional players as well as normal population. So this in order minimizes the associated cost. For example, you have been recruited by some sports club or even a clinic or somewhere you are recruited and you are going to work. So how you will be showing your differences from other physios or other colleagues, co-participants. So there you need to work on their injury prevention. If there is recurrence rate is reduced, so your success rate is increased. So if future injury is being prevented, you can delay their injury processes. So in sports, you can delay their retirement processes. So if a player is getting retired at the age of 35, you can delay it for another 2-3 years. So there will be extra income for your player that is going to benefit him as well as you. So that player is going to be with you for longer duration. And from that player, you are going to get more references and you are going to be working more efficiently so that our profession will also be growing together. So not only the body you are going to assess or you are going to prevent the repetitive strains, here you are going to look after the environment. That is in sports, it's healthy sports environment, you have to take care. So here sports environment says that the weather, that is climatic conditions, you need to go and assess before a player and you need to give him the do's and don'ts. Then the surface of play, in what surface the player is going to play, you need to assess that. And you need to educate that player to prevent his injury from what are all the conditions you are going to get from that surface. So next thing is the athletic conditioning team. So your support staff, everyone should be in a good and a healthy environment. So from them, what you need to guide or educate to the player, you need to have a proper conversations and education conference or workshop for the players to prevent their injury and give them a great awareness on the role of physiotherapy before starting your assessments or whatever. Next is half of the injuries arises from player to player, that is contact injuries. So there is other type of injuries, indirect, that is non-contact injury. So we can prevent only the non-contact type of injuries. So when it is contact injuries, it happens on the field suddenly or on the game environment, you are going to face that injury. So the non-contact is something like you play regularly and you are not giving the player a proper recovery or not non-conditioning activities. Then the player is more prone to get this repetitive strain type of injuries. That can be more of a soft tissue injuries or muscle strains and sprains also can be happening over here. So although the injuries are often appear to have caused by a single inciting event, they may in fact have resulted from complex interactions between internal and external risk factors. So we have risk factors for getting an injury. For example, for treating any condition, we have proper protocols. That is, for ONE, you are going to give only the close pack positions for getting the proper results. In the same way, our injuries will be having internal and external risk factors. So few risk factors can be modifiable and few cannot be modifiable. So those are here, we will be seeing that. So from the risk factors, we will get injury, and we need to plan that injury ratio to be reduced. So that can be due to the injury mechanisms or proximal outcomes. So what are external risk factors? So external risk factors are something out of your environment, that is not a player, from not your body. Your body is not causing that risk factor. That risk factor is due to some other cause to your body. So that can be human factors, that is to teammates or opponents or referee, someone. For example, it is the colliding type of injuries, that is direct contact. Next one is sports and protective equipments, shin guards, soccer boots, or etc. So for example, you are not wearing proper shoes or proper protective guards and you get hit by a ball, or while running you are not able to run in a proper mechanics, your external factors may be causing your injury. Next thing is environment, that we discussed, the weather and condition of the field. So the condition of the field is surface of floor, that can be flat, it can be sloped. The running of the athlete in the different altitudes also plays a major role to prevent those injuries. So internal risk factors are within you or within the player. So that can be the age in the sense the aging process happens for everyone. So those aging process we need to analyze properly. For example, we cannot give same type of training for an under 14 player and a senior player who is around 25 to 30 years. So for them, what type of exercise or what type of awareness you need to create, you need to be creating. So for example, an under 14 or less than under 14 age category, you cannot load them with weights. You cannot give them weight training. So for under 23, you cannot depend on their floor exercise or only that exercise. So you need to differentiate and categorize the exercise prescription. So those prescription will progress their level of play. So if the level of play is increased, then there will be skill development. So you can even prevent the injury and make them play freely. That is only concentrate on their game other than their injury ratio. Next one is gender, that is a male and a female. So for both the genders, we cannot plan the same workout sessions. So for male athlete, you can give them most of the weight training. For female athletes, you need to just give some modifications. That's all. You need to give them weight training, but with some modifications. For example, a male can be a proper push-up, but for a female, you need to give some modification in that push-up positions to give them the proper injury prevention protocol. Next is body composition, that comprises of weight, fat mass, BMI, and anthropometry measurements. So depending upon each goals, for example, someone who needs to burn a fat, you need to give him or plan him or tailor him a perfect exercise prescription, and you need to give him proper care for him personally in the sense isolatedly you need to plan for him for his workout schedule. So for someone with lean body mass, you need to give him much more weight gaining exercises or weight training. So next is physical fitness. So physical fitness is something big topic that is you need to have much more detailed slide. I have given it in the further slide. I will explain the physical fitness in the next slide. So next is anatomy, that is posture. Posture in the sense, for example, a player can be having limb length discrepancy or shortening of spine, that is scoliotic spine, or some deviations in their body anatomy. You need to assess that. That is the postural part. That also I have explained you in the next slide detailedly. Next is skill level. Skill level in the sense that is sport specific needs. For example, agility, endurance, plyometrics, those things you need to give him. That is, if he is lacking in agility, when he dives and catches the ball, he might be more prone to get injury. When he dives and catches the ball in a proper format or used to format, then the rate of injury will be reducing, and you can automatically prevent the injury, and your workload in the match or during the match will be reducing. So you can keep on giving the growth to your player without an injury, so that he becomes a susceptible athlete. So from there, the injury rate will be reducing. So the inciting events are playing situations, player or opponent's behavior, gross biomechanical descriptions, detailed biomechanical descriptions. So these events will be in your control. So with these events is reduced, then you can make the player to concentrate mostly on his skill level. Or for example, if it is an software employee, you can ask him to concentrate mostly on his programming work in his work. So next we'll go with the principles of injury prevention in sports. So for example, for everyone, there will be a basic principles. For example, as a human being, we'll be having our own principles to have or prevent us from doing some wrong things. So in the same way, to prevent an injury, we should follow certain principles, so that will not take you or guide you to a wrong path. So for example, you will be grown up by getting the principles from your parents. In the same way, when you are teaching it to your clients, you should have certain principles. These principles are only going to prevent his injuries throughout the player's life. So it is crucial to implement injury prevention strategies in order to ameliorate internal and external risk factors and to prepare the player for potential inciting events. So it is actually a difficult process, but if you achieve this, it is very easy to prevent and take the player to the next level. In the sense, it is a little time-taking process, and you should get proper cooperation from the team management as well as athletes to present your assessment or get that assessment and plan a personalized protocol, a tailored protocol for that individual player or an person. So the following principles are adequate warm-up. So for example, warm-up is the base. So in the same way, at the end, the cool down is the base. You would have heard these terms. So these warm-up and cool down will be giving them the proper muscle activation workouts in the warm-up. So in the cool down, it will give the proper relaxation to those muscle firings. So those warm-ups can be with the stretching. The stretching can be static stretching during the cool down and dynamic stretching during the warm-up. That stretching will be depending upon the need of the player again. So when the player is not having firing or muscle length insufficiency, you need to stretch and send him. You need to make that muscle fire, and then you need to make him work. Or PNF techniques to treat certain conditions. For example, if he is having some SI joint dysfunctions or anything before the game, so or while doing warm up he feels some pain, there you can use these techniques. So you need to analyze and plan what to be given at what time of or what situation for a player. Then you need to work on it. So next one is taping and bracing. So for example, taping and bracing are an external supportive device. So it is not within the body's control. So you are going to tape that muscle, and you need to position that muscle if it is an positional taping or rigid taping. So this step works in the correcting the anatomy of the player. So bracing, if for example you find any laxity or instability in their joints, you can brace him and send him. So if it is only of less than level 1, so that you will be getting to know only when you are with the client or with the proper conversations regularly with your client. Then you will be getting to know what he is lacking, what you need to do before he is performing his skills. Next is protective equipment like shin pads, socks, helmets. So those things, for example, it is also an external factor. So someone is bowling or playing an intensive game, we cannot stop that physical activity suddenly. So for preventing those injuries, you need to use protective equipment. Then you need to use suitable equipment. That is, for example, if there is any limb length discrepancy, you need to modify shoes levels or height in the shoes insole levels, and you need to prefer it. For example, for a football player, you need to use soccer boots only. For a runner, you need to ask him to wear only the joggers. So you need to differentiate each and every sport depending upon his needs. Not simply you cannot say get some costly shoes, and you cannot ask a football player to wear a costly cricket shoe and play. So different shoes will be having different insoles, and the mouth of that shoe will be different. So for the basketball, there will be proper anklet support. So to prevent the ankle injuries, because basketball is an jump and landing type of a sport, more of. So different sport, you need to have a different suitable equipment. Equipment is from the shoes to till the t-shirt. So it depends. Next is appropriate surfaces, that is even pitch. When he is playing in different pitch, he needs to have proper footwork. For example, in cricket, the pitch, if it is a turning wicket, his footwork should be proper. So for that, if he is a batsman, you need to give him some stability for ankle, and then you need to ask him to go. So each one in their warm-up thing, you need to plan, and you need to ask him to implement it and go and play. So next is appropriate training. So this appropriate training is within the hands of a physio and then strength and conditioning coach of your team. For example, for normal population, this can be lying within yourself or some yoga instructor or Zumba instructor or different type of instructors. They should be handling it with proper care. So depending upon the need of the player, that is aerobic capacity has to be increased, then those type of conditioning coach has to be implementing it with tailored skills. Next is adequate recovery. So adequate recovery in the sense, for example, you have played for 8 hours or 6 hours in a day, or you field for 6 hours in a day. So there you need proper recovery. Proper recovery in the sense that recovery can be from the mind level and as well as your muscle level. So mind level, you are stressed. If your match is going good, you may not be having stress in your mind. So that recovery will be happening within yourself. When you are performing a bad match or your match is losing out of your hands, then there will be mental stress also. So for that also, you need to plan for a good recovery as well as your body recovery. For example, you fielded for 6 hours in a day, you run, you stand, you jump, dive, everything, depending upon your physical activities you have done. So for that, you need to give adequate recovery. So that recovery can be through sleep, sports massage, then foam release, then swimming. Then it can be with proper diet and nutritious supply for their muscle recovery. You need to plan it appropriately, and you need to arrange it with your team management. So whatever it is needed, you need to analyze. For example, if he is playing 20-20 match, he needs proper basic mild level intensity of recovery is enough. If he is playing a 3-day match, he is going to play continuously for 3 days. So immediately there will be match within the next 12 hours. So his recovery should be very much quicker. So you need to plan appropriately. So adequate nutrition for recovery as well as strength or building the muscle capacity to play for longer duration. So for that, the nutrition has to be incorporated in your injury prevention protocol. That can be given by a dietitian, or if you are having some knowledge, you can give him the basic idea about the nutrition. So then there is 2 seasons of play, that is on season and off season for a sportsman. So if it is normal population, there won't be any 2 seasons. It will be like normal routine cycle. So for them, mild level intensity of exercise is enough. But for an athlete, the injury can be prevented only during the off-season training protocol. So on season, you can just delay the process. That's all. With injury, if he is having, you need to give him some rehabs and you need to make him play. So off season, you need to prepare him mentally as well as body level wise. You need to prepare him and make him play for the longer duration. So on season is approximately for 9 months for cricket, and off season is approximately 3 months in cricket. So in on season duration, there will be lot of games. So there will be 20-20 matches. There will be 50-over match and as well as test matches. So for playing those matches, there will be level of fitness. There should be how much level of fitness you need to analyze. So you itself will be getting to know. So for that, there should be proper recovery. So match recovery, you can maintain the player's intensity of play. So if he is having any niggles or aches or some corrections, you can manage it with only prehab. If he is completely unfit, that player is not going to play that game and he is going to rest it, and you are going to plan his injury protocol. That is rehabilitation protocol in the on season. Off season, you need to plan what the player is lacking. That is your pre-evaluation. You need to evaluate the player's level of fitness as well as the needs of that player has to be analyzed by a physio and the team of support staff in your management. then it should be planned with the strength and conditioning team. So here the strength and conditioning team comprises of a physio, trainer, coach, dietitian, then there will be a sports medicine specialist. Together you need to plan for the best of the player and you need to give him the best to prevent the injury. Next, if he is lacking fitness in his skills, for example, if the player is getting tired while playing match or any skill movement, then you need to plan personal protocol and give him the tailored skill level training. For example, it should be like sports specific skill training you need to give him. So for example, for a wicket keeper, you need to give him the wicket keeping skills or drills which improves his fitness levels. You need to give them. Then there should be testing. So in planning, we have pre-evaluation. With the pre-evaluation, then you have evaluated what are all the player or a person is lacking, and then you need to test him. Test him in the sense you need to get some outcome measures from that player. So we have seen in the internal factors over there, that postural assessment and physical testing. So that is the testing you need to be doing in the off season for a player. So the testing is assessment. So in assessment, there is pre-evaluation and post-evaluation. Pre is something you are giving on before the day one of your exercise prescription or an exercise protocol. Then you will be giving exercise or your corrections for a period of 6 weeks or 6 months, whatever plan you are having according to your evidence or according to the time that player is having. You need to have this pre-evaluation, and finally at the end of the day you need to be having the post-evaluation. Assessment comprises of firstly the postural analysis. So for example, for anything, even a person comes to the OPD or if the person is in the sports field, you need to assess the posture. So assess the posture starts from the player or a client entering your clinic, or whenever you are seeing him for the first time, you need to assess his posture while walking or whatever, while he is coming and sitting. So every small movements you have to be analyzed or assessed. So for example, I have given few postural assessment pictures. So for example, we can find what is the posture of Mr. X or Ryan. So here we have the image in the anterior view. So this player is having certain deviations in the first pic. So what are the deviations you can see in this player? So in the anterior view, we need to assess his head and neck, shoulders, then your elbow, then your wrist, hip, knee, and the ankle. So here, firstly, head I have covered him for his privacy. So we'll go with the shoulder first. So shoulder, for example, this is the AC joint of his right side. So for example, on observation, you can just, guess or giving some feedback, that's all. But a player cannot get what you are saying. So the best way is to click the pictures of that player in his mobile or in your own camera, and then you can draw an imaginary line. So when you are drawing those imaginary lines, one second. So when you are drawing the imaginary lines, it should be having some markings, that is right AC joint to left AC joint. So can you see the difference of height levels? So his right shoulder is height. So there is a reference point. So AC joint is the reference for your shoulder. So here if you see this inner, that is skins what you own, is hiked in his right side. So that is obviously seen. If you click a picture and show to him, automatically you can see there is something curved. So that curve has to be measured, how much it is curved. So if you think this is the ASIS level, if you draw the line, there is hike in the right side, but not on the left side. So this is how you are going to analyze him before entering to the next level of his assessment protocols. So here, and the next thing is his gap or positioning of his elbows. So if you see what is the distance between this, that is right cubital fossa to his lateral surface of his body, and check the distance between the left cubital fossa to the lateral surface of the body. So obviously there is some gap differences. You can note it down. So these differences also have to be managed in your exercise prescription and correction prescription protocol. So next is his lateral view. In lateral view, what we can assess is the head and neck, that is the cervical spine curvature, then the thoracic spine curvature, then your lumbar spine curvature, then you will be coming to his knee hyperextension, or if it is neutral position, then his leg in plantar flex position or in dorsiflex position. So you need to again assess him using a plumb line or a reference line from head to toe. So see his line of gravity, where it is traveling, whether if there is any differences in this line of gravity position, you need to correct his or change his line of gravity position so that the anatomical, that is biomechanical changes will be progressed. So when this biomechanical changes are progressed, automatically his muscle force will be acting appropriately. So his, for example, if he is having more commonly, if he is having jump and land issues, those issues will be rectified. When that is rectified, his injury prevention is delayed, or we can prevent his injuries. So the posture also plays a major role in the injury prevention. So next, in the posterior view. So in posterior view, we need to assess his scapular, again shoulder levels, then the scapular levels. So the angles of scapula, for example, lower angle as well as his superior angle levels has to be measured. With this, you can rectify his scapular dysfunctions or scapular dyskinesis, and you need to progress him. Then the tilt of his pelvis. So here you can see some elevation in his gluteal area. So these tilting things can be assessed with this protocols. Then the scoliotic changes, for example, the curvature in the lateral side of the trunk can be assessed. So these are all just a reference. These are all will be a greater evidence or inciting ratios to show to your client, and you can get the progression levels. So you can compare the photographs of day 1 and the end of day, that is post evaluation, and then you can give the progression levels. So next is your functional assessment. So functional assessment is nothing but, for example, when we are studying how we have studied, they will be evaluating by keeping some exams or tests. In the same way, a player or some household activity things, you need to make them to do that function, and then you need to assess that function. For example, if he's a fast bowler, you need to ask him to run from his startup position to the bowling line. Then you need to assess his bowling technique. So I'm not going to the brief assessment of his bowling, but a basic rolling down, that is flexion of trunk assessment, we'll be seeing. So this is the very basic assessment where you can find most of the muscle disturbances or muscle inactivities you can be find with this function. So in rolling down, what he does, he needs to extend his shoulder up and then extend his spine and then forward bend and touch his toes. That is what he has done in his picture. So in picture 1, this is the movement you are going to analyze, where you can just find the paraspinals of his position. So I'll again draw an imaginary line to show you the changes. So for example, if he is having any hypertrophy or atrophy in his paraspinals, you can find the curvatures over here. So this curvature will give you the differences of what he is lacking or what side dominant he is. For example, a right arm fast bowler will be overusing his left side of his muscles. So during previous sessions, you would have assessed those issues. So for him, you need to assess his curvature in his left and right. So this analysis will give him the muscle involvement. So next one is your side movement. So that is in lateral view, what you can see is flexion of knees is seen. that represents there might be tight hamstring muscles and weak hip flexor muscles. So these are all maybe because the person is not in front of us. So where we can just guess that thing. So for you people, I can just give a glimpse of what he might be issues over here. So this is his right side lateral view. There will be tight hamstring and weak hip flexors. So coming to the upper part, there is something like what to say, slouched shoulder position. So there might be an upper cross syndrome also. So I'm just giving you the hints of his differences in posture. So in the third picture, it is left side lateral view, where again we can find the equal amount of hamstring tightness. So here we cannot find that one side is hyper flexed and one side is normal. So both the sides it is equally tightened. So one more thing, while bending down, his neck position is good. So you can find the good things also in your assessment. So the fourth image is his posterior view. So here what you can assess is again his paraspinal view, that is spinal views. So I feel his left paraspinal is little hypertrophied than his right. So those variations you need to assess in different positions. So for example, for Mr. X or for Mr. Rayan, in rolling down, there is poor segmental articulation of spine. So when I asked him to roll down, the articulation of spinous process, that is each and every spine level is not moving in a rhythmical way. So there is articular dysfunctions, what I have assessed for him. So especially in the lumbar area, you can specify or categorize the area either in lumbar or in the thoracic or in the cervical. So that is in the final degree extension is not able to have the proper articulation in the lumbar spine, maybe due to tightness of the hamstrings. So that is the base of the assessment. Next is unable to keep the neck in flexion due to neural stretch. So he is not able to bend his neck down, that his chin is not touching his chest. That may be due to his neural tension. So here we have finding the neural classification also. So there is something differentiation the neural stretch also. Next, third one is unable to reach the floor due to tight hamstrings and paraspinals. So we have seen that. So fourth one is increased muscle bulk of left paraspinalis. So I have zoomed and showed you. Here also you can see there is mild hypertrophy of his left side. So that might be due to the improper training. So or with improper guidance, he might develop that. So that is again in standing to bending position. I have seen the rectus abdominal is visible due to poor recruitment of transverse abdominalis, hip abduction due to weak adductors. So in this knee position, you can find the knee is abducted. That might be due to the inner thigh weakness, or inner thigh is not activated to take it inside. So he is not having the neutral or line of gravity is not passing equally, that is bilaterally is not having equal force distribution. So the third one is that physical testing we have seen in the internal and external factors of injury ratio. So the physical testing comprises of mobility. So if range of motion is proper, most of the muscle injuries can be, or muscle repetitive strain injuries can be prevented. So mobility can be done with range of motion test, or you can use different apparatus or tools. So I have just given you the basic outlines, or for one physical test, I have given you one outcome measure to find it. Next one is stability. That stability can be with proprioception or as well as your soft tissue, that is ligament. For that, you need to have orthopedic special test. That is your laxity test or stability test. You need to collect it from the assessment. So for example, if for checking the knee laxity, you use Latchman test. For checking the meniscus issues, you will be using McMurray's test. So for example, for proprioception, you are giving him single leg stance test. So kind of that you need to give for stability. Third one is agility. Agility is nothing but a sudden change in the force of direction what a player on an athlete is having. For that, we can have a simple test, is T-test. So T-test is nothing but agility T-test. You need to run vertically. That is, you need to sprint in the sense you need to run as quickly as you can vertically. Then you need to move to your right by striding. So your steps should be striding. So you need to be moving in the sideways to the right. Then you need to move to your left. Then again you need to come to the middle, then you need to return back sprinting in reverse way. So you need to calculate the starting time and end time. Either you can take best of 3 or one test according to your convenience and time. The fourth one is plyometric test. Plyometric is nothing but a jump and land. So for this, we can use a vertical jump test. So the fifth one is balance. For balance, you can use star exertion balance test. So what is a star? Star is having 5 corners. So you need to ask him to stand with single leg, and you need to ask the other leg or toe of the other leg to be touched on that all 5 corners. You can measure the distance of that star levels. So the fifth one is speed. Speed is again a different component. How quickly he is moving or how quick his muscles are twitching. So for that, you can have 20 meters sprinting test or run test. So for example, you need to mark 0 to 20 degrees. Then you need to mark the starting time and the ending time in the other side. So you need to have the best of that. So the sixth one is strength. So for example, strength is nothing but, for example, you need to have some capacity to hold something like bat, or if you need to kick, you need good strength of your muscles to give a good kick. So for that, you need to have strength. For that, you need to have 1RM test, that is 1 repetitive maximum test. So this can be done with the help of your trainer. You can load a lot of weight or maximum weight what the player can have. Then you need to grade him for his progressive resisted exercise training. And the last component is your endurance component. Endurance is nothing but how much the time the player is sustaining on the field, or how much his heart is having that power to sustain for longer duration. For example, most trending test is yo-yo test. So the yo-yo test, you need to give for the player. You need to calculate with the deep sounds. So you'll be having rhythmical sounds while the player is running from 0 to 20 meters. You need to start actually slowly as the second pulses increases. Then you need to improve your speed. So the speed is matching until what level will be your yo-yo testing score. So next we'll go with Pilates. So before going to Pilates, we need to know why we are taking Pilates in preventing injury. So in what way Pilates is going to help you to prevent an injury. So for example, we'll take cricket as an example. In cricket, with Pilates, I have seen something on the player is hitting the ball farther in the sense, for example, for hitting a 6, minimum distance of boundary line is 70 to 100 meters. So for example, if a player is a hitter, and if the player is trying to hit sixers, so he was just missing his distance. So after giving Pilates exercises, we can find the change in hitting power. That is, the distance of his 6 line is increased. So we can have the power to extend the bat and generate the force in the flow of his bat flow to hit the ball and match the distance. Second one is he can run faster. That is speed. Property is improved after giving Pilates because of strong core. If he is having strong core, that is the powerhouse. So with that powerhouse, his speed is generated in his lower body, and he was able to run faster and quicker. So with lean and thin muscle mass, there won't be an air force objecting you or blocking you. So with Pilates, you will be developing only lean and strong muscle mass. Lean, so there is no bulk. So when you are lean, your speed is more. So third one is jump higher. That is the plyometric property. So jump is improved. Again, your core is improved. Your jump capacity is improved. Then the correct muscle imbalances and improve posture. For example, I can say you that within 2 or 3 sessions of Pilates, I can make you feel that your posture and muscle imbalances are giving you greater confidence in your stance itself. For example, for a normal population, if you stand tall, that itself gives you more confidence. For example, even when you are presenting something, you can stay strong by giving a good posture. So that gives the great impression on you also. So the next one is most efficiently and effectively. So what is efficient and effective? That is the endurance component. So if you do something most efficiently and effectively for longer duration, you are going to stay in the team for longer duration and you are going to perform it for longer duration. In normal population, for example, within 1 hour you are getting pain, you can improve that muscle effectively so that you can perform your ADLs for delaying time. That is much more longer time than the usual time. So finally, these all together will prevent your injury with the Pilates. Fine, now we'll go with what is Pilates. So what is Pilates in the sense, how this Pilates is going to help you in your development of your sport or daily activities or whatever component you have, your client is in of need. So for example, if a client needs, he's not able to work in front of system for a longer time because he's having cervical and lumbar pain. So there you need to achieve his component. So you need to comprehensively plan or tailor his assessment as well as exercise prescription. So this is directed towards the total, that is both mind and body coordination of an individual. And next is history of the Pilates. How the Pilates is invented or got from the ancient time is something like it is very old method of practice only. It is also the normal physiology of an exercise therapy. Only the change is here you use different principles, other 5 basic principles of Pilates you are going to use with resistance of springs and imbalance tables you are going to use to enhance the fitness of the person. So it is developed by Joseph H. Pilates during First World War. So where that is a story again where he was allowed to treat the war prisoners and then he got good results and he was able to give the improvement in the prisoners and he was making that the prisoners to get fit earlier. So then after the World War, he was settling in New York. There he went to a dance school. Then he applied these Pilates exercise principles in the dancers. Then he found out that it is the art of contrology. That is the newer principle or newer techniques of Pilates he has formed. Then he named it with his name Pilates. Then for an healthier person, he gave these exercises and improved their mind and body, that is strong mind, and used it to gain the total mastery and control over his or her physical body. So for example, for dancers, he was able to use this concept and he was able to give him the best of results from the technique. So this is a form of movement only where like other traditional training, for example, strength training or weight training, this is also a form of exercise fitness training, mostly used in a different population, cinema actors or cine actors or sportsmen is using these techniques to gain the lean and strong muscle for their fitness, regular fitness. So this is also one of the method of physiotherapy. I'm not saying you need to follow only this Pilates and you need to gain the importance. So with other principles, you need to add these principles also, then you can get the benefit to the maximum level. So how Pilates helps in preventing an injury is the next thing we are going to see. So here Pilates is focused on everything, whatever we assess from pre-evaluation, that is postural assessment, breath control, the abdominal strength, the spine, pelvis, these postural things. With these sport specific things also, agility, endurance, plyometrics, speed, everything is going to be focused with your Pilates exercises. So in traditional training, you will be giving only for biceps as I told you. Here you are not going to isolate the muscle groups. You are going to involve head to toe together while giving the Pilates exercises. Like both upper and lower extremities are going to work when you are even targeting your shoulders. So likewise, you are going to tailor your Pilates prescription. So the primary goal, everything have primary and secondary. So long term and short term, the same way this Pilates in injury prevention, the primary goal is to prevent or reduce the strain in your muscle. When your muscle strain is reduced, there is no injury in your muscle. There is no repetitive strain is happening in your muscle. So that itself is going to give you good muscle strength and flexibility throughout your activity or physical activity. Next is in prevention, you need to have some complementary training. That is, you are creating awareness of your body. So for example, a player is diving. So you are creating awareness, how to dive. For example, if he is a left-hand batsman, a ball travels on his right, you are creating awareness even on his right side, then you are asking him to dive there, he'll be having a proper movement pattern and stop the ball as well as prevent the injury. So both the things is achieved by a player with this Pilates technique. Then there will be economical breathing. So for example, if you're going to a different altitude and play, so for example, if you go to high altitude, you need not take fast breaths or first lip breathings. So there you can have economical breathing. So you will be having your breathing within your control. You know how to breathe and where to breathe, and exactly after how many times or how many minutes you are going to breathe, you are going to create that awareness. Next is neuromuscular coordination. So your muscle coordination, that is your muscle coordination to your brain. So when your muscle movements are taken to your brain, that is creating awareness again. So that awareness is going to condition your mind and body. So mind is being controlled with the neuromuscular conditioning. So next is we have seen on and off seasons. So on season we can give like a prehab just to prevent injuries on the field alone. During off season you need to prevent his big and major injuries, and you need to correct his posture, everything, his physical testing needs, and then you need to give him. So during off season you can get that player inside your gym setup or an studio setup. Then you can train him using different equipment. So if you use different equipments, you are what to say challenging that players or client's muscle, and you are progressing his needs. When you are progressing it, he is going to challenge and give you the great changes in his body and mind. So where you can injured muscles could regain their health and fitness while performing rehabilitation with team's physio. So only a physio will be knowing from his A to Z component. So because he'll be traveling with you, along with you throughout the matches or throughout the season. So for example, we saw 9 months of play, that is on season, and 3 months of off season. Even if you continue that 3 months, you can prevent that injury during the 9 months of on season also. Next is the apparatus we used is inside the gym setups are the main forerunners of the exercise machine, because you are challenging him in a different equipment or different technique. So the equipments used are known as universal reformers and cardiac, that is trapeze table. What to say? It assumes like an suspension table, but it is not a suspension table. Suspension, you are using gravity. Here you are using resistance in a movable surface. So in, for example, Smith machine is something you are pulling some weights towards you or something. There, that is, you are moving that equipment towards you. But here, that equipment will be moving on the surface, and you will be on that equipment to do or perform your exercise. So the difference is you need to understand. So for example, for bicep curls, you are giving some weight. For example, you are taking this bottle as your weight, and you are moving. You are taking this bottle towards you. That is, this is somewhere what to say, isolated. It is somewhere neutral. You are moving that movement. But in Pilates, the machine itself will be moving. You are going to perform your exercises on that equipment or a machine or a reformer. So the purpose of this system of fitness exercise is developed by Pilates, we saw, where the main what to say interest is to develop the harmony of the body. Harmony is nothing but rhythmical movements of your body. So if your body movements are created awareness, then you can prevent your injuries, risk of injuries. The movements are carried out slowly and fluently. So for example, there is some, what to say, pulses in your movement. So that I will show you in your exercise video in the further slide. So that video will be having slow and fluent movements. There is no irregular movements or breath controlled movements. The breathing control also should be incorporated with the type of exercise. So then finally, this exercise are referred to as mind-body coordination exercise system altogether. So as we seen in the benefit slide, Pilates gives the powerhouse of the exercises, that is your body center, and that denotes the muscle, which is core muscle. So where your core becomes your powerhouse. Powerhouse in the sense all the energy is stored in your core. For example, even for jumping, you are going to generate your force distribution from your core, and by landing also from the core, you are distributing your landing pressure on the floor. Even when you are moving towards sideways, your core is being distributed equally. So finally, the powerhouse is termed as the center. So your core muscle is the main base in your Pilates exercise. So another benefit is something like strengthening the muscles, but there is no bulking of your muscles. So with strengthening, there will be improving your muscle balance also, because you are doing exercises on an immovable, that is movable surface. Example like an Bosu ball or an unstable surface activity. Pilates itself will be given on a movable surface. It is not unstable, but it is movable surface. So strengthening in Pilates is not only aimed at larger and powerful global mobilizers, but also the deep postural stabilizers, the main point of your Pilates benefit. So deep postural stabilizers are nothing but your anti-gravity muscles. So mostly we lack training those anti-gravity muscles in back pain or in your neck pain. The most neglected part is your deep postural stabilizers. For example, multifidus is a deep postural stabilizer. We lack strength on that. So for example, a fast bowler is running, jogging, running and having force distribution from his shoulder to his lumbar spine. There should be a proper distribution of his muscle activity. So for that deep postural muscle is stabilized, then there will be proper stabilized, balanced movement. Then there won't be any injury while he is having bowling. So there won't be happening any side strains or any other repetitive strain injuries on the bowler's part. So next point is, when there is balance in the muscle, that results good stability. Good stability will give in the efficient movement patterns. This efficient movement patterns will give in good range of motion. When the range of motion is good, there is no muscle restriction. So this in turn prevents the risk of injury. So one after the other. So balance of muscle to good stability, to good movement patterns, to good movement patterns to range of motion, which in turn prevents the risk of injury. So the physical appearance, as we've seen, when posture is built, the physical appearance is improved. With this, the stamina, stress relief, and focus is improved. In recovery, we saw even the stress level of your mind also to be conditioned. So with Pilates, you can condition even your stress relief. Fine, because you are focusing on doing a physical activity on Pilates exercise. So together, Pilates is termed as all-in-one system of your body. So some additional sport benefits from Pilates includes, for example, ergonomics. We saw where we see ergonomics. Ergonomics is nothing but someone who is working in front of system or on closed environment. You are assessing his ergonomics. So in a static posture or in his work posture, you are assessing his ergonomics. But when coming to the sports field, your assessment should be for this sport specific. For example, for a cricketer. So different sports are there. I will mention few sports. For cricketer, what are the additional sport benefits from Pilates? You need to assess. It is X factor. So in cricket, again, you have a bowler, a batsman, a fielder, wicket keeper. Again, in bowler, you have fast bowler, spin bowler, arm bowler, different wrist bowler, mystery spinner. Again, many variations in the level of sport or position of his game. So that's why X factor. X factor is nothing but many factors you need to assess. For example, one factor out of that is speed and strength. With stable lower body and flexible trunk, with better core and shoulder stability to reduce back pain and reduce shoulder, wrist, and elbow injuries. I have given it for a fast bowler. So only what is it? Most of the fast bowlers are more prone to get injured in the cricket. So that's why I want to just give a outline of a bowler's sports benefit. So that is, you should be having speed. That is, you need to run speedily. You need to have strength to move his shoulder joints and rotate his shoulder and bow with stable lower body. While landing, his front foot and back foot should be stable. So one behind the other. Again, in that front foot, there is different position. So to maintain that position, you should be having strong and stable lower body with flexible trunk. When he is flexible, you would have heard swing bowling. So that swing can be controlled. So when that swing is controlled, his skill is improved. So automatically you are targeting on his skill levels also. So with better core, there will be strong shoulder stability, where you will be not having supraspinatus issues or rotator cuff issues in a fast bowler. So which in turn reduce the risk of back pain. So you are just using your shoulder stability alone to generate speed and swing. Then there won't be improper loading in his spine. So automatically you are reducing the back pain issues and shoulder, wrist, and elbow injuries. For example, there is usage of wrist in his bowling action, so you can reduce the wrist and elbow injuries also. Other sport is hockey. So for hockey, you need more body awareness because it is again an aggressive sport. You'll be having a bat which is very thin and long. So there is what to say. That gravity position when you are hitting will be like pulling you down. The weight of the bat will be dragging you down. So you should be having more body awareness because you need to lift the bat and you need to hit the heavy ball. In hockey, the ball is heavy. So with the long and thin bat, you need to hit an heavy object. So there should be a body awareness to hit that ball. So if you mishit that ball, you are going to strain or imbalance your muscle usage. So there should be maintain optimal joint alignment in case of extreme mobility. So the mobility is very long. That is back length of the bat is very long when compared to your arm length also. Here you need to assess his arm length. So different sport will be having different assessment or main focus on his assessment. Next is tennis and racket sport or overhead sport. That includes your volleyball or some other overhead sport also, where you will be having the flexible trunk rotation. That is, you need to move left and right. So sudden movement will be faced in these sports, that is left to right movement. Then opposite side strength. For example, if you are stretching your right hand, you need to be having strength on your opposite side to be giving stability. So it is again more of a unilateral sport. So if tennis, you will be using more of wrist activities and you will be using only one hand. You cannot use both the hands to play your tennis or racket sports here. So there will be better centering for quick directional change. So centering is nothing but again your core. So if you're suddenly moving your directions, this core is going to help you out in that change of force. So shoulder girdle support, because it is a racket, that is hand sport. So you'll be having a strong shoulder girdle support for serving as well as smashing activities. And injury prevention, ability to move in all planes of motion. So tennis and racket sport is something like all planes, frontal, sagittal, and oblique. So 3 plane of motion you are going to use in this. Next is cycling. You are sitting statically, that is holding your upper body statically and using your lower body for cycling. That is a repulsion of your lower body. So here you need strong body to sit for longer duration, for better bike position, to line of gravity to pass on neutrally on your spine. That is, the center of gravity in your lumbar spine should be neutral. For that, you need to be having stronger core. Then power to pedal the cycle. Then endurance to cycle it for longer duration. So it is something like cycling is not just 1 kilometer or 2 kilometer sport. You need to cycle it very fastly for a longer duration. So here, fast twitch fibers has to be more endurance in this type of sport. Improved balance and balance to reduce power. For example, if you are getting tired or muscle is getting fatigued, if balance is proper, you can prevent those problems. So next we have running, swimming, baseball, basketball, football. So I have given you one example for one extremity of your body usage. Others you can read it out or take a screenshot and have it on your phone. So in the same way, for example, household activity. For example, while cooking. So what usually female will be having? Stirring kind of activities. So there you should be having again a strong shoulder girdle, or you should be having more endurance on your shoulder thing and strength on your shoulder girdle. So here you should be having the upright posture to prevent the upper cross syndrome in the household female workers. So for example, in office goers, that is bank jobs or in IT professionals, they need to sit upright. So there should be stability of their strong core. That is, in cycling, you need to take some component, and from football, you need to take the lower extremity things. And you need to give variation depending upon their work or ergonomics, what they need. So we saw the injury prevention principles in the previous slides. Now we will come to the 5 basic principles of Pilates. So Pilates will be having only the biomechanical principles, not physical or physiological principles. So biomechanical principles are nothing but the breathing, pelvic placements, rib cage placements, scapular movement and stabilization, head and cervical placement. So this 5 cannot be changed. If you follow these 5 principles only, you can term it as Pilates. If you're not following any of this, you cannot say you are giving a complete Pilates prescription to your player or your client. So the other principle is nothing but your mind-body awareness. So you need to do all the 5 together. So there should be mind and body together working on your exercise platform. So now we'll go to the what is the individual explanations of each principle. So first one is your breathing principle. So breathing is nothing but we had previous sessions on breathing. So that pranayama and breathing techniques. So to increase the lung capacity and everything, those are all the physical things. So I'm not going with physical things. I'm going to teach in what manner you are going to breathe in your exercises. So that is breathing promotes effective oxygenation and avoids unnecessary tension on your muscle groups. That is, what is it? If you are lifting some weight, you are creating tensions in your accessory muscle groups. Those things will be avoided when you are following this breathing principle. So again, I have told you deep postural stabilization muscle has to be incorporated. Here, exhaling deeply activates the deep support muscles. So it is a 3-dimensional breathing pattern, has to be encouraged always. That is, your rib cage is all round. It is a 3D pattern. So when your 3D pattern is encouraged, there will be proper expansion of your lung. So with that expansion, there will be involvement of your diaphragm as well as your core. Diaphragm is the primary muscle group. With that core, you are going to activating it with the breathing principle. So how you are going to facilitate your breathing technique? So during exhalation is nothing but getting out air or breathing out air. There you need to facilitate spinal flexion movement. So while blowing the air out, you need to flex your spine. Spine is nothing but your cervical, thoracic and lumbar. So in this movement, you need to blow the air out like you are blowing the candle or a balloon, and you need to facilitate the spinal flexion. So while returning from flexion to extension, you need to inhale, that is deep inhale, that is intake of air to your spine. So this facilitates your spinal muscle activation or muscle recruitment. The second one is your pelvic placement. So this is also again a key principle. So pelvic is nothing but your center of your body. So this distributes even for your lower extremity as well as your upper extremity. So for global mobilizers exercise, pelvic has to stay stabilized to do those activities or exercise functions. So this will reduce the minor errors. Then optimal alignment, that is tilt in pelvis, will give you the proper. This is the tilt in pelvis. So this will be giving you the proper alignment of your spine as well as your pelvis. When your spine is aligned properly, your rib cage is also been aligned properly. So weight distribution is again happening properly, which will be happening only with your good coordination. That is, your neuromuscular coordination has to be happening here. Next one is balance. Balance because it is staying at the center of the body. Then the motor patterns. Motor patterns is nothing but when you are stabilizing one component and you are doing the exercise as a global mobilizer, the movement pattern, that is the motor pattern, is going to work to its maximum. So always your pelvis has to be maintained tilt. So it should be not neutral pelvis. There should be some space formed in your lumbar spine. So this you need to feel. For example, theoretically, I can just show you the picture. Practically, I can make you feel the tilt of your pelvis. So third principle is rib cage placement. Rib cage is nothing but your rib cage. So here you have inflare and outflare of your rib. So there should be exact manner of execution in your movement patterns. So when you are moving your shoulders up or towards the ceiling, there will be protrusion of your lower ribs. So where the ribs are joining at your Jeffy sternum, just above the free ribs, there will be inflare of your ribs. So that inflaring of your ribs should not be happening. That also should be in a neutral manner. That is nothing but flat rib. So it should be straight. So there should not be any protrusion of your rib cage. So this is also again a key principle. Mostly we neglect it, but we should not neglect it. If you neglect it, your breathing pattern or breathing technique modifies. Automatically all the principles are going to go in vain. So this reduces the confusion and compensation. So if you try to correct this, your pelvis as well as your first component breathing will be, what to say, done without any confusions or any compensation of your movement. Next is your scapular movement and stabilization. Scapular is nothing but your shoulder movements for your upper extremity movement. So scapula is the major core. That is your core of your upper body. So stabilizing scapula on the rib cage is as important as contracting the abdominal muscle during initiation of every exercise in a flow. So you cannot do your exercise in slow posture, or you cannot do it in a hyperextended posture. So for that, the proper assessment in your scapular assessment has to be done, and you need to place it. So here you should be having a proper curvature of your cervical spine also. So smooth uninterrupted continuity of movements will be formed only with the scapular movement and stabilization. Fifth one is your head and cervical placement. So for example, creating tension will be mostly on your sternocleidomastoid muscles. That in turns are going to give you changes in your venous returns and blood arterial flows. So to prevent that, you need to be having a good head and cervical placement coordination. So spine should always start its curve in its cervical level. If cervical curve is fine, automatically your thoracic curve and your lumbar curve is going to be proper or neutral. Then there will be balanced body, that is from skull to toe, that is head to toe will be in a balanced movement, even in your sitting or standing, whatever the movement you are doing. So it will improve the concentration, that is the stress of the player will be reduced while giving or taking this principle as a component. Next is your attention skills will be improved. Then you will be fixing it to a single objective. When you take your exercise to your brain, your objective is only your exercise, not your game or not your cooking or not your office pressure or some pressure you will be forgetting. Only your exercise thing you will be remembering. So this is again a cycle. So if you follow these 5 protocols in a plan, then only you will be having your awareness. So if you are creating your awareness, automatically you are reducing the risk of injury ratio. So when you are aware of your body, so for example, if Mr. X is aware of himself, he is aware of his own injuries. So a fitness enthusiast will be having more awareness on their body. Even a small pain or small changes in their body, they will definitely have a discussion with their physio or a biomechanist for their assessment or preventing their risk of injuries. So we'll go with a small evidence practice. So this evidence is nothing but a 6-week Pilates exercise protocol for improving physical and mental health related parameters. So most of the data I have given on this slide is from this article only. So here they have done a 6-week exercise, principal exercise protocol, where they have taken 52 subjects or clients or players. They divided 26 plus 26. 26 is control group. Control group, they are not given anything. Other 26 with Pilates group, that they given intervention of mat Pilates training. So at the end point, only 25 of them stayed because one is irregular. So with this, they have analyzed some what is outcome measures, and they have got the best of their outcomes, which shown that which improve their physical and mental health related parameters. So automatically, if this improves, your injury risks is also prevented. So this is the exercise protocol they have followed. I have modified few exercises from this protocol, but I have followed the phase 1, 2, 3, and I am following it for my team players during this COVID lockdown time with online sessions. I will show you those references in the next. So in phase 1, they followed it for every 2-week protocol. After every 2 weeks, they are being challenging the level of exercises and increasing the number of exercises also. They are doing exercises for 2 times a week. So I'll show you few of the exercises what I have given for my players or subjects what I used. Excuse me. So the first exercise is hundreds. So where you need to find his principles. What are the principles we saw? Head and neck. Next is, first one is breathing. Second one is pelvic placement. Third one is ribcage placement. Fourth one is scapula. And fifth one is his head and neck. So breathing, he is doing it. So now he is doing his flexion to extension. That is, he is doing hundreds. That is his hip flex or flexion he is doing. So in flexion, what he needs to facilitate, we are going to see with this video. Next one is pelvic placement. How is his pelvis? So we need to see his pelvic placement. Third one is his ribcage. See, his ribcage is neutral. Fourth one is his scapula. His scapula is neutral. Fourth one is head and neck. His head is staying straight. So we will see the movement of this exercise or pattern of this exercise. So he's giving the pulses with his hands. So this pulses is slow and rhythmical movement we saw in that Pilates slide. So this pulses will challenge his core or upper extremity as well as his head and neck movement. So here he is mobilizing both upper and lower extremity, but giving this strong stabilization for his core muscle. So if he repeatedly, he needs to do is for 100 pulses. That is the big challenge in this Pilates exercises. So here he should not hold his breath. He should be normal inhalation and exhalation. So while flexing, you need to facilitate his flexion activity. That is inhalation of his breathing pattern. While extension, exhalation has to be happening. So we'll go with the next exercises. That is ab preps and variations. We have 3 exercises in this video. We'll see the 3 exercises in this video. So here he is doing his cycling movements. That is again a different activity where he is having upper body is stabilized and only his lower body is mobilized. So here he is challenging his obliques also. So 2 of his muscle groups is activating. So obliques as well as dynamic mobility. This is again reverse ab crunches. He's been, challenging his lower core, more of his lower core. So there is 3 variations in this exercise, what we are implementing it. So he needs to give it for 2 weeks with 2 times a week as an intensity of exercise. Then we need to change it in the 3rd week. So the 3rd week can be this one. So the 3rd week's exercise is shoulder prep with reverse ham curl. So here he is using his shoulder strength or shoulder stability activity with reverse ham curl. So hamstring is also activated with the core stabilization. So now he'll slowly, bring his butt to his heel. So you can see his butt is brought back to his heels, with challenging his upper body or upper extremity also. So this is mostly used for a bowler, where we can prevent his hamstring injury ratios. So this will be challenging his core as well as hamstring as well as his shoulder. So there is 3 muscle groups with 3 properties. So all the components is matching. So static stability of his core as well as dynamic stability of his hamstring and shoulder is together implemented. Here he is using his shoulder with his obliques with his hamstring eccentric load. So he is using 3 muscle groups in a single activity. So this is how you need to challenge your exercise prescription or protocol and tailor it. For example, first 2 videos are of a batsman's point of view. He is a batsman. Again, you can see him is strong and bulkier. You can see him, his presentation itself, he is strong. He is again a spin bowler. So where he is having a good trunk positioning, and with the trunk he is going to use his activities. So again, the 3rd one is like shoulder pikes, where he is challenging. The next level of exercise is where he is giving the stability component to his ligament, that is proprioceptive training to his shoulder ligament, as well as glute firing on his lower extremity with core stabilization. So you can clearly see this shoulder is stabilized or locked, so the proprioception component is improved. His leg extensions, that is glute firing, is happening with strong core support. Following these 5 principles, he's been doing these exercises. So next, we are challenging it with giving some supplementaries. So this is again a glute work where she has been giving extension of her glute with holding of some mini ball. So we call it as mini ball, which is air filled. So that ball will be like wobbling. So you need to hold that ball firmly and you need to recruit your muscles. So this mostly recruits of his hip flexor eccentrically and glutes concentrically. With shoulders, it's been locked. So again, it is of shoulder proprioceptive work. Slowly, you can improvise by doing with single hand positioning. So next, we'll go with intensive reformer workouts. We have seen some instruments we'll be using in Pilates. So what are the instruments we use? We see here. So this is reformer. Here you can see the brown color floor or table, which will be movable. Here he is having springs. The springs will be having different resistance. So what he is using is maximum resistance. Here you can see different springs hanging out. So each spring is of different resistance. Seems like a suspension table, but it is not a suspension table. One area is being stabilized and other area is mobilized. That's what we saw. It is global mobilizer in the floor. So you can see the floor is globally mobilized. It is mobilized from base to end. So here he is doing this scapular retractor activities as well as stabilizing his core. Then he has been kneeling. So his hip stability is also improved with the breathing component, scapular positioning, rib cage positioning, pelvic, then head and neck. All the 5 principles are being instructed. So I'll play it once more. Again, it is challenging for him. So here you can see different boxes over the side. So these are all again supplements to challenges exercise activities. So this you can do it indoor, not on the field. This you can do in the off season because you cannot carry this equipment. This equipment is approximately of 15 to 20 kgs of weight. So you cannot carry it on the field and you cannot mobilize easily also. So this one is again basketball players. These are all basketball players. So here you are giving an Pilates ring. So this Pilates ring is going to challenge their movement coordination and movement workload. That is neuromuscular coordination is improved with challenging in this exercise prescription. So here what they are doing, they are just what we saw with the plate one, that hamstring curl. Here they are doing it with the reformer. That exercise was on the mat and this exercise is on the reformer. Here you can see the floor is moving. So the base is mobilizer, global mobilizer. With that they are even challenging their hamstring eccentrically. When your hamstrings are eccentrically challenged, your hamstring injuries will be reduced. So the prevention of injury will be happening to 100%. So with the same activity, you can challenge the exercise with different levels of progression of your exercises. So the same exercise with long lever positioning. So here he is doing his exercise for his obliques. So with shoulder retractors as well as protractors with trunk flexion facilitation. So he's having multifactorial 3-dimensional activities in all planes of motion. So for example, in dead bugs you use some activity, but that activity you need to be using with the 5 principles followed. Following those 5 principles, you need to do these workouts. So here again you can see the floor is moving. In this floor you have resistance again here. That resistance is being starting it from this point. You can see. So from this point to this table is attached. So you have 4 springs attached to that. 4 is of different resistance. So depending upon the power generation, you can improve it. So the power as well as other components, that is we saw agility, everything. In the same way, he can do these exercises. So here if you see, their eyesight is on the footrest part. Here you can see the eyesight is on the reverse part, this pulley part. So here you can see the springs. So the springs are of different levels. So here you can place some jump boards. So you'll be, I have told you supplements, right? So with the jump boards, you can improve their plyometric activity. So that is the third week progression. And I am not giving it for a cricketer. I am doing the project on a cricketer. So I'm not included that protocol over here. So after exercise, you need to cool it down. Then you need to, after everything, you need to cool down. Then you need to do this exercise for prescription of 6 weeks or whatever it is. Then you need to do some post assessment or post evaluation. So this can be done after targeting or planning, maybe after 6 weeks or whatever your study says or whatever you are planning and whatever the time you have, you can use this thing. Then the post-workout evaluation, whatever the test physical assessment you have taken, you need to do it for analyzing for your research, then documentation and reporting to your clubs, then planning for upcoming seasons. So documentation helps the level of work you have done for that club or so. So for that purpose, this assessment will be helping you out. So we have evidences for Pilates. So you can have the evidences in different recruited journals. So what we get from this conditioning, we can prevent the injury, reduce the associated cost, improve the confidence of the player or an individual, improve his mental stress or condition, gain improvisation in his skill, postpone his retirement, provide a safe, healthy sports environment. Then what it gives us work satisfaction. Finally, if your player is not getting injured in your assignment, that itself is a great satisfaction. Then it uplifts our profession, recognition from the players who is a physio is, then self-referrals to improve your client base from player to a physio or from client to other client. Then results for the growth of players will be there. That is level of sport. For example, if he is playing for university level, if you give him this, then you go for state, then national, then international. So few take-home points from my session are, it's just adjunct to your prescription or exercise prescription. Mind-body coordination, which improves concentration, in turn improves focus. Apply the 5 basic principles of Pilates to modify your exercises. Challenge client's muscular system and build endurance. Challenge abdominal stability and strengthen upper and lower body both together. Understand how specific exercises can address the needs of athletic conditioning. If it is for individual conditioning. So few photos of my studio. So this is the floor where we give other conditioning, that is strength training, agility, plyometric activities. These are the reformer. So these are the reformer box. This is the footrest, and these are the supplementary things. And we have arc and barrel here. These are the plyometric boxes. So these are the resistant bands hanger. These are again a Pilates supplement. This is the Pilates ring. Then this is air-filled stability padding. This is mini stability ball. These are weight cups. These are stability pads. That is foam stability pads. This is not air-filled. So we have cones for space marking. These are foam rollers. This is the mat group floor exercise preparation work. So we need to have some black color TheraBands or for challenging the workouts. Pilates ring for again challenging. Mini ball for challenging. Again, these foam rollers for giving stability purposes. This is the agility floor. You have agility ladder, then the Bosu ball, then the Olympic rods for the weight trainings. So without sweating, our fitness or anything will not be improved. So we'll conclude this session with this. If you have any questions, we can have it.
Participants, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand.
If anyone has any questions, you can please raise your hands. You will be unmuted.
Please unmute Balarpati.
Sir, they have lowered their hands, sir.
Okay. Is there anyone else from participant side? If you have any questions, you can raise your hand.
No questions, I guess I can
Unmute Soumya.
Yes, sir. Done, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Soumya.
Sir, it was a nice session. Sir, I have seen that you have demonstrated a few Pilates exercise.
Yes.
So you have shown the oblique and trunk.
Yeah.
For that, is that okay for, because while he's doing, I don't feel the trunk support is there, and is it okay, or it will cause any injury or strain to the back, sir? Do you
So,
have
for
any?
example, yeah, for preventing the injury or strain to the back, we are targeting on his pelvic placement as well as ribcage placement. So, pelvic is something you
Because
are
it
keeping
looks
it
like
in neutral.
it looks like unsafe, sir.
It is not unsafe because you are asking in that reformer activity or in that mat.
Reformer activities.
So, in reformer, you have attached it to a resistance thing. So, resistance gives you that stabilization. What level of stabilization he is achieved, to that level of resistance only you are going to give is that challenging level. So it will be controlling your body. For example, if you are pulling your rope, you will be not falling back suddenly. That rope will be having proper stability.
Okay.
So that will control your spine movement and position your spine also. For example, this exercise you are speaking, here this rope is connected to this movable mat that is connected to the resistance of the spring. The spring is not going to move easily. So if it is moving easily, it is not a proper training. If it is like what is a resistance training only, you need to pull it with resistance. For example, in lat pull equipment in a Smith machine, the weight is 1 kg. If you pull, what it happens? Sudden movement happens. That is unsafe. You load the weight properly, and if you pull in a proper movement pattern, that is not at all an unsafe. So for that only you are having is assessment.
Okay, sir. Sir, any repetitions for that, sir? Like for these kind of exercises, sir?
See, repetitions again based on your assessment only. So that's why we are having assessment. We cannot blindly say 10 sets into 3 reps. For example, if he is lacking one-sided thing, for example, if his right side hamstring is reduced in power, you can give right side 3 sets and left side 2 sets also. So you need to calculate his level of strength based on his assessment.
Okay.
So, for example, on general, you can plan for a 45 minutes to 1 hour of Pilates session together.
Okay.
So, for example, if he is lacking poor obliques, you can give 5 minutes of oblique training and 3 minutes of other muscle group training.
Okay.
That's how you can differentiate. So, no reps and sets will be calculated blindly. Or even if I say that is not proper, even for normal exercise also, 10 sets into 3 reps or 8 sets into 4 reps is a wrong practice. For that only you are assessing and prescribing your exercise.
Okay.
So, for example, if you go to a doctor for a fever, you will be not seeing all doctors writing paracetamol for 3 times a day. So, based on your age, he is going to calculate his mg of his paracetamol and he is going to load you. In the same way, you need to assess and then prescribe. That's why exercise prescription is most important in our field.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Fine, Soumya.
Is there anyone else from participant side? Please raise your hand if you have any questions.
Anyone else? Any questions? You can please raise your hands.
Anyone else?
Pavan, Miss Fanny Janet, she's raising her hand.
Fanny Janet. Come on, Nitin, please unmute Fanny.
Yes, sir, I've done, sir.
Okay. Rupesh.
Yes, sir.
Audible?
Yes, Fanny. Fanny, how are you?
I'm good, Rupesh. Excellent work. Very nice knowledge and sharing over here. Thank you so much.
Your voice is low, Fanny.
Ma'am, your voice is very low, ma'am.
Right. Not sure. Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Right. So I don't have a question, but I just want you to take me through once again. So we were talking about periodization for the athletes, right?
Yeah.
So, and you were correlating it with the Pilates prescription along with it. Can you just once again review that? I just want to have a recollection with it. That's all.
So, for example, it is again a time framed. For example, for a basketball player, he might be having more time to condition his body. So because his tournaments are very much less when compared to cricketers in India. So for cricketers, you'll be having just 3 months where you need to improve his sports specific skills as well as his strength. So where if you incorporate Pilates, you are using it with multi-dimensional and three-dimensional planes of movement for his strengthening activity, so that the results will be much more quicker and effective. So if the quality of your food is good, you'll be eating it more. In the same way, if your quality of exercise is good, you will be doing it with interest and your results will be more. So that is how Pilates helps in sports training. Fine, Sunny.
For the periodization and collaboration, like for an on-season, off-season, and pre-season, how do you modulate your intensity, your exercise prescription with regards to Pilates?
Again, during on-season, we need to calculate his recovery period and his fatigue levels, everything. If a bowler is bowling 15-20 overs in a 3-day match, we cannot load him with any of the physical activity. We need to just coordinate on his only his recovery part. So if he is having any rest period, we can go with his stability and strength training during that period. For example, during season, the player will be having 1 or 2 days. You need to give 1 day of rest and 1 day of his strength training. If the rest period is more, you can alternate it. 1 day of recovery period with swimming or massage session or other recovery sessions, and then 1 day of Pilates, 1 day of strength, 1 day of running training. Likewise, you need to manage it. For example, in the off-season period, you can go with 2 sessions. So 1 session of Pilates you can do in the morning. The other session you can concentrate on his strength training. So the next day you can alternate it with some ground training, that is for his sprinting activities and running conditioning and the heart conditioning activities. Evening you can give him rest. The third day, the first session, you can again start with Pilates freshly. The 6th session, you can plan it with some recovery parts, that is flexibility and foam release or muscle recovery patterns. 7th session, again, you can go with the strength training because the previous day you had the recovery pattern. The 8th session, you can plan it with some recreational sport or some cycling, or you can ask him to play some other sport and relax him from his stress levels. So likewise, you can progress. That is again, it is planning. You need to sit with your player and you need to get the need of his player, need of the client or a player. Then you can plan his periodization exercise prescription. Fine, Sani.
Sir,
Thanks, Suresh.
Thank you.
sir, there's one more question, sir.
Yes. Where in chat box I can take?
No, sir. One question is by Ponmadi ma'am, sir.
Yes.
I have unmuted, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, you can ask your question, ma'am.
Rupesh?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am. Hello, ma'am.
Sir, 1 minute, sir.
Yeah. Ma'am is asking to unmute.
Yes, sir. I've done.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a good presentation, Rupesh. I have a doubt.
Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned about flaring of ribs. No?
Flaring of?
Ribs.
Your voice is breaking, ma'am.
Flaring of ribs, Rupesh.
Sir,
No, ma'am,
flaring of ribs. Flaring of ribs.
Flaring of ribs. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Rib cage.
Yes. How
Yes, ma'am.
identify it? Continue.
Ma'am, identification is on our observation only, ma'am. So, so this is the rib cage placement. So, for example, only with upper limb activities, the rib flaring happens usually. So while they are extending their arms above the head, there is overhead activity. There might be increase in the arch in the spine. So if we reduce that, automatically the ribcage flaring will be reducing. If it is not reducing, we can give them tactile feedback. That is just tapping on the ribs or just giving the firm pressure on the ribs to give that feedback to take the ribs in, so that automatically the pelvic tilt also will be corrected. So together, spine curvature with pelvic tilt